I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're speaking with a tremendously talented author. Her name is Jeannie Varnuska, and she has written a delightful book that your children and you will just love. It is called Diesel, the Basset Hound Who Couldn't Howl. In the book, she crafts a heartwarming tale of resilience and self-discovery as a young pup named Diesel learns to find his unique place in the world despite the challenges and doubts that he faces. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank our team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like her by subscribing to her channel. And more importantly, buying her wonderful book. The links are below. Jeannie, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Thank you for having me, Logan.
I love your giant book cover behind you with Diesel right over your shoulder. It's like he's looking out for you, right?
Yes, he is.
Tell us a little bit about how you came up with this story about Diesel. Was there a real life Basset Hound in your life?
Yes, and his name was Diesel. He
Okay.
he was a graduation gift for my son, and I kind of stole him from my son because I wanted to give back to the community. And he was a goofy kind of guy. And I belonged to a group called Bark in Southern California when we lived there. And we would go to libraries, and every Saturday, two different libraries for kids to read to non-judgmental Basset Hound. And they loved Diesel's ears, and he loved doing it. He just thought he was all that and then some. He so yeah, that's and the reason I wrote the book is I worked with special needs kids for over 25 years in Los Angeles. And so many of these kids would say things like, I can't do this, I can't. And the whole synopsis of the book is no one's good at everything, but everyone is good at something.
Absolutely. Well, you found the right hero in Diesel because there's no more lovable dog, I don't think, than a Basset Hound. They're just like big, chunky, cuddly, overgrown pups, and they're beautiful. Tell us a little bit about how Diesel's journey in the story addresses the issues of bullying and the importance of self-acceptance.
Well, unfortunately, Diesel was a happy-go-lucky Basset Hound until one day he had the biggest problem ever. And the problem was all his brothers and sisters started howling. And they said, come on, Diesel, howl. And all that came out of his mouth was arf. And so they start. He has one brother that was really mean to him. They all laughed. He tried and tried and he couldn't howl. And his brother Tommy said, you'll never get a family to love simply because you can't howl. All Basset Hounds howl.
That's
So
sad.
that's the bullying part.
Exactly, that nobody will love you because of that. And those are the kind of mean things that little brothers and friends and frenemies sometimes say to kids. So it's kind of important that kids learn that kids say mean things, but it doesn't mean it's true, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So on Diesel's journey, what happens next is he goes out in the backyard and he practices and he practices and he does the best he can to howl, and all that comes out is a little arf. So after that, all his brothers and sisters get picked up and they end up going to their new homes. And so Diesel knew right then and there he would never, ever have a family to love because he couldn't howl. He still practiced. And one day a lady came and he was the only puppy left. And she ended up taking him home. And he still practiced howling, but the lady loved him for who he was and what he was about. And one day they went to the library, and Diesel's loved being stroked and petted, and his ears touched, all those nice things. And the lady that adopted him said, you know what, Diesel, no one's good at everything, but you're good at helping children learn to read. And he made the world a better place.
Wonderful.
The last school that I worked at was called It was in Los Angeles, and it was called Basset Elementary.
Ah,
And he was our mascot. And you have not lived till you go to an assembly with 900 kids yelling, Diesel, Diesel, Diesel. He was the mascot for the school for almost 2 years before we moved to Arizona. And I didn't have an identity. I was Diesel's mother.
that's funny. That really is funny. Dogs really, I have two Jack Russell Terriers, and they are quite the characters, as you can imagine, just from their reputation. But dogs are such an important part of our lives, and they do teach us lessons. And I love the parallels between Diesel's real life and his fictional life in the book. Have you ever thought about immortalizing Diesel in another way? Perhaps this could be like a short film or a cartoon or animated feature or something.
Possibly that would be something I might be interested in. Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's great that the book is out there now. You never know whose hands it'll wind up in. So that'd be great if a producer in Hollywood or Disney is listening. This would be a fantastic story to turn into a animated short or a series. Diesel could have all kinds of adventures. Are you working on any other books?
Right now, one of the issues I have at the school that I work at here in Williams, and I see it even in first grade, is a bullying issue.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm in the process of writing a book called Beulah the Bully.
Okay. And what will Beulah be? A person, an animal?
Right now, probably a person,
Okay.
because she's mean to all the other kids. And her best friend that they would team up together, which is usually what I see. It's not just one person bullying, it's two of them against one kid,
Yeah.
saying mean things and things, saying mean things. And so her friend moves away. And so she's on her own. Nobody wants to play with her. Nobody wants to have anything to do with her just because of her meanness. And she gets a turnaround. She finally realizes that bullying isn't okay and ends up having nice friends.
Yeah.
And her bullying days are gone.
Great. Well, that sounds like a terrific story as well. I love the illustrations in Diesel. Tell us a little bit how you went about those.
My neighbor, when we lived in Southern California, her daughter was an artist. And this was a college project she did to get a good grade. She did a wonderful job. Everyone loves the illustrations. And she ended up getting a free pass, all expenses paid, to go study in Rome for her art.
Wow. Because of the Diesel book?
A part of it, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's amazing. Well, that's quite an accomplishment. So Diesel has touched some lives already and made for that young woman's better future. That's for sure. What a delightful book it is. Now, I love the big background behind you. That's do you bring that when you do readings for children or something? Tell us about that.
They have the Tucson Festival of Books, and they invited me there 2 years ago in March. And so I had this poster made up for the book festival.
Great. Tell me what the writing process was like when you were writing Diesel. Was it, did it just flow? Did it take a while to flush out the ideas? Did you realize that it was going to be centering on bullying and self-acceptance?
It took me, my husband was diagnosed with cancer, and I was waking up in the night just with anxiety because it was a very aggressive cancer. And what ended up happening is I'd wake up and I couldn't go back to sleep because your mind is spinning. Yeah. And so I went out into the living room, and of course Diesel followed me there. And it took me about a half an hour to write that story.
Wow.
I mean, it just flowed very easily for me.
Well,
and then you edit and all that, and then it finally comes.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, some things are just inspired. This story definitely is. It is called Diesel, the Basset Hound Who Couldn't Howl. It is a delightful, heartwarming tale of resilience and self-discovery as a young pup named Diesel learns to find his unique place in the world, despite the fact that he doesn't instead goes arf. Jeannie, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.